at christine@actforamerica.org, or find us on through the info account, and we'll be happy to work with you and assist on anything that you're working on locally.
Thank you very much, Christine. So every one of our election security calls from now on will feature a state. So last time we had Michigan. This time it's Wisconsin, and we're going to bring on Jeff Davis from Wisconsin. And the next one will be probably New York. So what we're trying to do is trying to get people from all these different states to key in on and bring more people on from their state, because they're learning new things about the state. So what we're also going to do is on our sites, we're going to put up your information and all the different organizations that are there, so people can go to them and get it. So if you will text me all your information, we'll get it. And now let's have Jeff Davis come on. Unmute yourself, Jeff, and come on down. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I think I'm unmuted. Let me know if you can't hear me.
You're good.
I hear you well.
Good, thank you. So Steve and Raj, and to all the people on this National Election Integrity Call, thank you. In the little bit of time that we've been allotted today, let me just introduce a few things that we work collectively on here in Wisconsin. And let me say up front, we don't have all of the answers. We don't know everything, but we try to work from a collaborative standpoint from 5 perspectives when it comes to administering elections with integrity. And those 5 areas are legal, financial, data, cyber, and administrative. And we'll give an example of each today in this little bit of time window. Quick backstory, 4 years ago in August of 2021, we were at the state capitol here in Madison, 10 months after the November 2020 election, when retired Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark had an election integrity rally on the steps of the state capitol. This was 10 months after the election. The election here in Wisconsin was supposedly decided by 20,682 votes. We knew that something smelled rotten in Wisconsin. And this is no criticism of the clerks. This is no criticism of the legislature. This is no criticism of the courts or law enforcement. Something just didn't smell right. And so what we did after that election integrity rally is we pulled together a statewide ad hoc committee specifically focused on election integrity. And those 5 areas that we looked at, we went out and we found professionals in each one of those 5 areas. Those 5 areas being cyber, which would be the electronic voting machines, data, the WISVOTE database, the finances, the legal perspective, and in the administrative perspective. What we did is we built out a 72 county resolution where all of the county parties could support what we were doing through the Republican Party. They were extremely helpful, extremely supportive. Then we put together an ad hoc committee of 20 to 25 people that's on a constant floating basis where people are coming and going in those 5 areas of specialties. And then what we did is we built an email database, an encrypted email database, to give people hope and encouragement that something would be done in Wisconsin from these 5 perspectives. What can we do legislatively? What can we do through law enforcement? What can we do through the legal system? How can we lobby? And then what does that look like logistically? The 5 different areas that we looked at, cyber, data, financial, legal, and administrative, came down to these 5 things. What is the state statute and what is the administrative code, number 1, for a particular election integrity issue? Then third thing we did was, whose auspices does this fall under? What's the status of that particular? We can come on here and meet with Steve and Raj and people all over America every single week. But unless we quantify and qualify election integrity and what can we do to address all of the folks on this national call, Raj and Steve have all of the white papers on the formation of the ad hoc committee on election integrity, all of the success stories, and then the 73 different points of interest for election integrity. There's no magic or mystique to this. All 50 states can do what we do, and you have our permission to copy and model all of this in your particular state. Because as we found out in Wisconsin, it doesn't make any difference unless we quantify and qualify, address the issue, and then follow through with it. 5 real quick examples. We just found out that the WisVote database here in Wisconsin, which has 8.2 million names in the database, 4.4 million are just names. They're not eligible, they're not registered, they're not electors. They're just an extra 4.4 million names floating around in the WisVote database. On top of those extra 4.4 million names are eligible registered electors of 3.8 million. And when we started this 4 years ago, there was 7.1 million people in this database. It has grown by 1.1 million. And what I can tell you today is Wisconsin has 5.9 million residents. 4.6 are over the age of 18, and 3.8 of the 4.6 are registered in the database. I can't give the particulars because this is an ongoing investigation, but our database has been turned over to the proper federal authority for inspection because it's not in compliance with HAVA and Title III. And when we can, Steve and Raj, and to the folks all over America watching this today, we will share more information. That's the data component of the 5 areas that we work on. Number 2, we just received a letter from Harmeet Dillon. She is the Civil Rights DOJ Assistant Attorney General. This lady is unbelievable. Most of you know who she is from California. President Trump and Pam Bondi have brought her on to the DOJ. She just sent Wisconsin's election administrator and the commission a very tersely worded letter 2 weeks ago. This falls into the legal department. And she said to the Wisconsin Administrator of Elections and the commission, you are not in compliance with HAVA with your WisVote database. You have received $77 million between 2003 and 2023, and we will do everything we can to bar you from getting more money if you don't correct the fact that you do not have a complaint component and a hearing component, so that if Steve Stern were to file a complaint in Wisconsin because the election laws weren't being followed, right now Steve Stern has to accept what the Wisconsin Election Commission and the administrator says. Harmeet Dillon says, no. In order to continue receiving funding, you have to be in compliance with HAVA from that perspective. From a financial perspective, this is huge. Congressman style here in Wisconsin, we have 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats for our 8 congressional representatives. Congressman style, a year ago in August, through us helping him bring to his attention the fraud, the money laundering financial scheme of the Democrat Party through Act Blue that resulted in 7 of their top leaders resigning from the organization. They're now being subpoenaed by Representative Comer and Representative Style to come in and give an accounting because they were accepting gift cards, they were accepting credit cards that did not have the CVC code on the back. This is a total fraud, and thanks to Congressman Style from Wisconsin and Representative Comer, they're getting to the bottom of this, and we will stop the billions and billions of dollars that have poisoned our election systems all across America. Another one is the cyber component. This is huge here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin has 1,852 communities, towns, villages, and cities. We found out on May 27th that the Wisconsin election administrator and the commission of 6 members, 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, dismissed all Democrat complaints saying that all Wisconsin communities have to use electronic voting systems. They said, no, your complaints are without merit, they're dismissed, and any community in Wisconsin under the population of 7,500 people can vote to get rid of electronic voting machines and go to paper ballots and hand counts. That, as Steve Stern would say, that is huge when it comes to election integrity. And then the final one is the administration. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court just last week, made up of 4 liberals and 3 conservatives, just last week, a 7-0 vote said that they were not going to accept the Democrats. This would be Mark Elias, Norm Risen, you name it, the liberal big Democrats. The Wisconsin Liberal Supreme Court voted 7-0 to dismiss and not take The Democrat lawsuit that said we're going to redraw all Wisconsin congressional maps so that the Democrats can have at least 4 representatives instead of 2, and the Republicans would go from 6 to 4 under these new maps. When you put those 5 things together, that's just 5. We have 73. When you put those 5 together, it is amazing what's happening here in Wisconsin. And this model can be adopted and implemented throughout all of America. Because guess what? Steve Stern knows this. This man has worked tirelessly for the entire United States of America, and he's helped us here in Wisconsin. This can be adopted and implemented in any state because there's no magic or mystery. Every state basically functions the same way. And Steve, we want to thank you for giving us these 10 minutes to share this.
Yeah, you got a few more minutes, Jefferson. If you got a couple of things, tell everybody how to reach you. And we got about 2 or 3 more minutes left on your.
Bless your heart. You're so kind to be generous with the time, Steve. We purposely do not have a website. We don't want to be chasing trolls and, answering people, but we do have an email address, and I'll give that to you now. It's Davis, D-A-V-I-S, for president, all lowercase, no hyphens, no periods, Davis for president at protonmail.com. It's an encrypted email database. If folks want my information, email us and we'll get that to you. I also feel comfortable giving you my cell phone number, 262-470-0893. That's how you can get in touch with us. We're not a nonprofit organization. We're volunteers. We work under the radar screen from those perspectives. And Steve, you're very generous and very kind to have us on your program today.
Can you put that into the chat?
Yes, I can. And my dear wife will help me figure that out.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll get you on again. You get a lot of information. Thank you for all the phone numbers and everything you've given me and taking the time to work with me. Next on, you got Kim Hermans from Project Civica in New York. And that's a tremendous organization. And I think everybody should follow this. Steve Gillen started this a number of years ago and is really coming along. Kim, you unmute.
Go ahead, Kim. Go ahead and hit the unmute button.
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
All right, Kim, we can see and hear you.
Great, perfect. So my name is Kim Hermans. I'm the president and co-director of Project Civica. We are a New York-based civic action 501c4 nonprofit. Our efforts focus on education, advocacy, and collaboration in New York State. If you can go to projectcivica.org to find out more about our initiatives, because obviously in this short amount of time, I don't have the time to tell you about everything we're up to. But we have had a busy winter into spring. Steve Gillen, who is our political affairs director, started the year off with a forum in person and in Zoom on Long Island, talking about precinct strategy, which we actually call committee strategy in New York because New York doesn't have precincts. So it gets a little confusing. I know when I first heard about precinct strategy, I had trouble with that idea with New York because there's no such thing as precincts here. So we call it committee strategy, but it's basically precinct strategy. And that's grassroots, ground up efforts, slogging it out, if you will, locally, and trying to recruit people to represent their election districts, their neighborhoods. So we started out with like I said, a forum, and then Steve Gillen and several others did a lot of education in the areas of New York where they were going to be carrying petitions. So he went to numerous meetings. And the clubs basically just took over from there. They did all the hard work. We collaborated with them by providing up-to-date information. So we also have a data research team. We collect the voter rolls from New York State called Nice Voter every month. And so we were able to give many of the clubs and the people trying to carry petitions up-to-date, accurate information on recent Republican voters, which was really key for them. I want to read a report that I got from one of the clubs that we were working with. And I'm just going to read what she sent me so that I can get all the names and credit correct. But the Rockaway Republican Club elects locals to Queens County GOP. We are proud to share what the Rockaway Republican Club has accomplished in the primary election. Over the past several months, Paul King, Mary Glynn, and Margaret Powers and our team worked tirelessly to recruit, petition, and support 35 candidates for the GOP Queens County Committee seats. Chairman Paul King and officers Mary Glynn, Margaret Powers, and Kathy O'Connor walked across the district, knocking on doors, talking to friends, family, and neighbors. Last November, following an unsuccessful run for Congress, Paul King began organizing and planning the effort with Mary Glynn and Margaret Powers with the goal of fixing our broken party so that in the future our candidates can win. Since then, despite harassment, obstacles, and some of our candidates being thrown off the ballot, we never stopped. We kept pushing, we got the word out, and the result, we've won over 16 seats. We also forced the old guard to put locals on the ballot and not recruit outsiders as they had done in the past. It's not official yet, but we are hopeful. We are also staying vigilant because we know how things go in Queens politics. We want to make sure there's no monkey business before our people are certified. This is what making a difference at the grassroots level looks like. It's real people doing real work for real change. So I just want to give a shout out to that group. They worked really hard. There were a number of other groups in New York City who also had a lot of success. And I know you haven't heard that story because all you heard about in the news was the mayor's race. I want to point out to people that in New York State, as in some other blue states that I'm aware of, the Democrats are, definitely in control, but the number 2 voting block is what we call blanks in New York State because they're unaffiliated, but basically independents, people who are leaving what we believe from what we can see in the data, the Democrat Party in droves. So there is hope in New York City. The candidates, independents, and the Republican candidate, Curtis Sliwa, is going to have to find a strategy to tap into this huge voting block of blanks or independents, people who have left their party because they're not happy with what's going on. So I think there's a lot of help in New York City. In addition to the work we're doing in New York City, as I mentioned, we have a strong data research team who is doing some incredible work. And I'm going to give you a sneak preview of some of the research that is about to come out in our report. Some of this is also a result of collaboration with other states. So we are working with New Jersey. There's an election integrity team out of New Jersey that we have worked closely with to find, to work on some of this data as well. But we have a great team working really hard. So some of the figures that we've come up with, that we've discovered as we were comparing voter rolls month to month over the last 6 months. There are currently 103,000 registered voters in multiple New York counties, which is a problem. We have 60K who voted after being purged, and 83,000 currently registered, double registered both in New York and New Jersey, 12,000 double registered in New York and Florida that we've found. 26K have no address. And the big one in my mind is that we have 1.9 million people on the voter rolls active, what we call active inactives, who have never voted in the last 2 federal elections, which is a big problem. So we're about to come out with a report with some of the findings we've had in the last 6 months. And we hopefully can get on another call and talk more about that. Election integrity is key. you can't trust, if you can't trust the outcomes that you're seeing in our elections, it just causes, problems. One of the biggest problems New York has is people are so fed up that they're not voting. And so while in the short term, highlighting some of the problems in the elections, kind of leads to that idea of, insecurity, but we have to bring out the problems. We have to bring the problems out. We have to solve them. We have to fix the system. And for New York, that also involves effort in advocacy. So we have worked really hard in Albany, somewhat unsuccessfully this year, but it was kind of our first go round at it. So we've been working towards trying to prevent New York from joining ERIC. It's great that New York wants to clean up its voter rolls, but we don't want them to join ERIC's system. So we're still working on that aspect. We're also advocating for some bills that, was not so successful. But like I said, it's our first go round at it. We're a new organization. So lots of hope with New York. We are really emphasizing collaboration with other grassroots groups out there. There's many groups in New York, and they're all in their own silo working on issues. We have to combine our efforts and join together and push our efforts because collectively we have a bigger voice than trying to do this individually. So again, just highlighting some of the things we've got going on. You can go to projectcivica.org and find out more. I don't know how much time I have left. We're big on education.
1 minute.
Okay. We're big on education too. We just hosted an event here in Western New York where I am, where we had 3 voices locally who are just freedom fighters, really brave people speaking. And we just hosted, a great event. We hope to have that recording out there. So hopefully y'all, can jump in and listen to that. And just a lot of good things happening in New York, even though what you're seeing on the news is kind of negative right now. So things are in play, things are shifting. And, the demographics in terms of political numbers are definitely shifting in New York. So don't count out New York.
Thank you very much. We had an emergency with Julie Seegers, and we're lucky enough to have a real superstar on who never comes on, but he's substituting Peter Berriga. We're so happy to have you. Come on down. I know you're just in court coming out, so go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, we had some big wins this morning in court, but if you might want to get a pen and paper handy for later for some of the things I'm going to be disclosing. First off, on the Smurfing, our Wisconsin team, which is Julie Seegers, who couldn't be with us today, and Keith Schneider and Greg Senstrom, we found 610 million campaign finance transactions are being hidden by the Federal Election Commission. That totals over $10 billion. You can read more about it on my tweet of June 27th. And my Twitter is just my name, @Peter Berniger. I did follow up and send a detailed letter with all the numbers and how we found it, et cetera, to U.S. Congressman Brian Stiles, because he's the one who heads up the committee that oversees the FEC. And he is taking some action. Now, they just recently, if you know or not, sent out 2 subpoenas to Act Blue employees to take their testimony. That's going to be happening. Also announcing my complaint to the FEC. Again, it's a group effort. It's not just me. About U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin has been accepted, and it has been sent on to Tammy Baldwin, and she and her attorneys are responding. And if I remember my numbers right, it's over $38 million that I complained to her on. It's going to exceed 50 million easy. So, but I want to clarify also that the rhinos are smurfing also. So my next complaint, at least I have lined up right now, is going to be, I'm going to be filing on Lindsey Graham. And after that, I'm going to file on Tom Cotton. And remember, smurfing is, if you don't know, is criminally money laundering into a political campaign. And we've caught them. You know, it's exceeding out of the 535 senators and congressmen, you probably got 530 that are doing it. And a lot of the money was coming from the U.S. Treasury, along with foreign sources, some corrupt billionaires like Reid Hoffman. But especially troubling where they're stealing our money from the U.S. Treasury that would go to the NGOs and or nonprofits, and then get filtered down into the campaigns through dark money PACs and other ways, including smurfing. Now, some bigger news is on the ES&S voting system. So if you have any of those in your state, I have a lawsuit against the county clerk of Outagamie County. It's been going on for 2.5 years. And through discovery and sworn depositions, this is basically what is happening. And this is important because it's happening in other states, as Leah Hoops has found out in Pennsylvania after she read my tweet about it, is that ES&S submits an application to be certified. And I'm talking to the Wisconsin Election Commission. Typically, it's going to happen besides the feds. They're going to do it to your Secretary of State. They're going to review the application, look at the voting system, kick the tires, and they're going to vote whether to approve it or not approve it. So what they did is ES&S submits their applications to Wisconsin as a real example, and the Election Commission functionally tests the ES&S voting system. They write a 57-page memo, which I have, and they submit it for the 6 commissioners to take a vote. And what's lacking in that application and the staff memo to the commissioners who do the vote was the Cradle Point router and the CrowdStrike Falcon software. Now, I've learned that the CrowdStrike Falcon software has been replacing Albert sensors, right? Albert sensors are the more hardware. Of course, they have software, firmware in them that monitor all the incoming and outgoing electronic data of counties. Now, these Albert sensors are in over 2,900 counties out of what? We have 3,100 counties in the nation. So slowly this CrowdStrike, who again is the same company that set up the closet servers for Hillary Clinton, and later on took them out of that closet and hid them in a warehouse from the FBI. That's the same CrowdStrike that's in at least 2,800 of our counties through various contracts that they have for their software monitoring services. And lo and behold, what I found out is they're connected to the FBI. So the feds are watching your county data, including, I believe, the vote counts. You can't see the individual packets unless, you know, I could get to that point, but they have access to it because the CrowdStrike contract mandates that each county give them all their IP addresses. It's unbelievable. So you have a contract that these counties are signing. They don't even know. You talk to your county supervisor, they don't even know, because what CrowdStrike's doing is sometimes they're even avoiding the election official. They're going to the IT official and saying, "Oh, this is safety and security of the federal government through CIS, which is a nonprofit of the Department of Homeland Security." The old Christopher Krebs, corrupt guy that he is, and CISA's involved with this. So they come in with the force of the federal government, get the IT guy to, "Oh, I better sign up and not have any foreign actors get into our electronic data of the county." But this is the bad guys. It's the FBI. It's CrowdStrike. They're the ones who are the bad guys, and ES&S is completely in on this, because what happens is when they submitted their application, they omitted the Cradle Point router. The staff memo to be voted on omitted the Cradle Point router. The whole system gets installed in the county. A couple months later, along comes the invoice from ES&S selling the county a Cradle Point router. So ES&S knows that they're going around the certification process by pulling out the Cradle Point router, which Patrick Byrne and I agree that I've got the bills of lading. The Cradle Point routers are being made in a plant in China about an hour south of Beijing, or southwest of Beijing. And then they ship them to Taiwan. They repackage them. put them on a U.S. flag ship, which is required, by the way, for critical infrastructure under FSMA, and then they ship them over to Boise, Idaho, where Cradle Point takes them out, and then, of course, sells them to ES&S, and ES&S sells them to the counties. So ES&S knows this is happening, that where these ES&S systems are not certified because no one ever voted on them, including the EAC, to my knowledge. All right. But I'm talking specifically Wisconsin, and I can say that Leah Hoops has found the same thing in Pennsylvania. So you'd want to do a public records request, if you care to do this, to any county that's doing using ES&S. You want to ask for an invoice for Cradle Point routers. You want to ask the invoice for any modems. You want to ask the invoice for or contract agreement with CrowdStrike or CrowdStrike Falcon Endpoint Services. That's their package or product of CrowdStrike. Okay. CrowdStrike is not certified because they do the same thing. It's not in the application to be voted on to be certified. They wait till this ES&S system is sold and installed. Then along comes this a force of the federal government to convince the IT guy or the election official of the county to sign on to the CrowdStrike contract. Sometimes then they say, well, if you can't afford it, they have a free version just to get that signature on that contract. That gives them access to all the IP addresses. They can see all the data going into your county and out of your county. Now, that's CrowdStrike is a private company. It's not. It doesn't have a good reputation. It's clearly that their endpoint that they're accessing is the Cradle Point router, and that's exactly what goes into the EMS, the computer server of ES&S at the county level that tabulates, counts, stores the votes. So they're seeing, and I'm going to say I believe, they're seeing the vote counts at that point when it enters a Cradle Point router, because the CrowdStrike agreement also makes the county agree that they can take the logs and they can take the data packets, they can take them off-site, put them in the cloud to an unnamed third party or parties. So CrowdStrike's taking the data from the county, sending it somewhere to somebody they don't even name. And they say unnamed third parties. It's in the contract that I have. It's like a 79-page contract. So something you want to investigate in your own county if you have ES&S, and of course Dominion voting is, pretty much a copycat of that same thing. You could also do the same public records request for that. Now, I want to tell you the biggest news of all. Thank God, and God bless Chris Gleason out of Florida, who I work with closely. He obtained, this took us 3 years, he obtained log reports of an ES&S voting system out of Pinellas County, Florida. We have the documents that came in on Friday, and we have the legal chain of custody from an election official, and we have these records, these logs for 2018, 2020, and 2022. Now, what they show is blank ballots, and we've been all over this, and Chris is the original one who found this years ago. Blank ballots are not really blank. What happens is anybody who's using an ES&S tabulator, you fill out your paper ballot, it gets fed into the tabulator. Nobody hardly ever knows this, and the election officials don't either, is the paper ballot, once it gets scanned and converted to a digital image, drops into one of two electronic files inside the memory of the tabulators. All right? That's not legal. That's like having two black boxes behind a curtain that you don't even know there's two boxes, and the election official takes your paper ballot, walks behind the curtain, puts it in one of the two black boxes, and never tells you, right? The reason they're doing that is this ties in with Runback software. We got a big, long 101-page article about this on our website. Runback has a patent. It's in the patent where it says they take adjudicated ballots, which are blank ballots for ES&S, adjudicated for Dominion, and they adjudicate them. This is after the voter fed in their paper ballot, went home, the polls closed, and then somebody up at the county level is futzing with the numbers. These documents we obtained that Chris got on Friday, they show blank ballots going into a secondary folder file. In fact, I have it printed out here. So here I have an example, and you're not going to see it on the screen, where you have 8 blank ballots. You're probably not going to see that.
I can't see.
Go into the secondary folder, It generated 4,058 votes. The next one down, 5 blank ballots go in. It generated 2,181 votes. This is an official government document from Pinellas County Elections, a report from the EMS server for the 2020 election. What they're doing is, we caught them, this proves it, what we've been saying all along. They're injecting votes at the county level. This document from the government proves it. This document from ES&S proves it. We have thousands of these that we obtained from that election official. It's going into the courts this week. I'm filing affidavits, so is Chris, and some other people in the 2 cases down in Florida. I'm filing it up in 2 cases I have here in Wisconsin. We're going to be sharing this information if Chris hasn't already posted it on his Twitter. And this is it. This is the Holy Grail, because you can't refute this. They never thought they would get it. We also have the 3-page letter where ES&S told the clerks across the nation, because we did public records requests nationally. They said, oh, by the way, we got this guy in the Justice Society asking for public records. We're okay if you give them the reports A and B, but don't give them C, D, and E. Well, we finally got C, D, and E, and it shows exactly what we've been suspecting. This proves they're injecting votes in the secondary file at the EMS at the county level, and that's how they're stealing our elections, at least in this case.
Peter, that's it. We got to go. We got other people, but thank you very much for coming on.
All right.
We'll get you on again.
You're welcome.
Hopefully you'll get back on. Thank you very much. Joel
All right.
Brazil is next, one of your buddies.
Go ahead and unmute, Joel. There you go. And you're up, Joel. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Joel Brazil. I'm based in St. Croix County, Wisconsin. I'm on the Campaigns and Elections Committee and the Membership and Volunteer Committee of the Republican Party, St. Croix County. Also, I'm their data coordinator. I'm a software developer, and I've been an organizer for many decades. I've also helped with North of 29 movement that is working with Dr. Frank, and worked a little bit with Peter Bernegger on some of his efforts. So I am not an organization. I'm just an individual contributor, but I have my finger pretty close to the pulse of the precinct strategy in Wisconsin. As a plug for precinct strategy, Dan Schultz, go to precinctstrategy.com if you've not heard about the subject in general. In St. Croix County, a couple of years ago, we, well, I'll just say, take a step back. In Wisconsin, we have what are called committeemen and committeewomen or ward captains. Other states would be precinct captains or precinct chairs or precinct committeemen. So in Wisconsin, I would say that institution has been shut down for probably 50 years. And it's quite unfortunate. In St. Croix County, we had, through my efforts, appointed 4 committeemen, and that was a couple of years ago. I learned a lot from that process, but at this point in time, there's no effort centrally at the Republican Party of Wisconsin level to have committeemen or ward captains, but they do have a program called community captains, and I'd say that is something, but I'd like to it's not an always up affair. It's only really up during campaign season. I'm definitely for committeemen and ward captains being year round up and running. So in St. Croix County, we have another cycle going on here, and at this point we're using a vendor called Surus, S-U-R-U-S. They've been in Illinois, they're in Michigan, and they have a program that they offer as a vendor to the various county organizations. And so we've signed up for them, and they have a program called Battle Program. And that's actually now been deployed in Brown County and St. Croix County, and it will probably spread out to another few. They are a vendor in Dane and Waukesha counties. The idea is that they started out in Illinois, and Battle Program basically is there to go after the moderate to low propensity Republican voters and just get them to, it's a get out the vote effort. Now, I look at this as a useful exercise because the first time around it was very difficult to get even committeemen going. And if there's a lot of enthusiasm with regards to Sirius, Wisconsin, let's go ahead and get it going. And then it starts out with ward captains. And on top of that, we can have a committeeman at a later date. Now, in Milwaukee County, they have a branch system. They have decommissioned their 6 branches and have created city level branches or municipal branches. There are 19 municipalities. My understanding is they've had a chair for each municipality, and they're going to have ward captains underneath those chairs. I am not monitoring it, so I'll be listening to the grapevine to see how that's going, but that's a fairly recent development. In Brown County, for their Sirius, Wisconsin, I can also say that they did have an organizational meeting in the late May. They have 25 ward captains, and I believe they want to probably triple that number to fully cover that county. That county is Green Bay. And finally, in Jackson County, they a couple of weeks ago, what they ended up doing is taking their members at large on their board, and they have now substituted them with committeemen. And so they're working from committeemen and getting those populated in the county. Committeemen, in a sense, are like ward captains, except they're a level above. The ward captains deal with the wards, and then the committeemen coordinate the efforts of ward captains. My experience from St. Croix County was that I started out with committeemen, and they were expected to appoint ward captains, and it didn't seem to happen. So I think it's better to start with ward captains. Wards are the equivalent of precincts in other states, or committees in other states, I suppose, in New York. So in Jackson County, they're starting out with committeemen and working down. So, but in case, I will recommend they look at ward captains really soon. Yeah, in Wisconsin, we have a complicated kind of a situation. We have a statutory organization, and that's where the committeemen exist. And then the Republican Party of Wisconsin has a membership-oriented organization, and that's what we're working with today. So in case, I'm trying to influence the Republican Party of Wisconsin to adopt ward captains and always up paradigm, so that we'll also be able to work on cleaning the voter rolls. I'm going to push that effort. Ward captains are out there. They're getting to meet they're assigned to a ward, so they get to see the entire voter roll. They get to go to every door if they want, and make sure that the voter roll matches who's there. So I expect once we start getting this going, we'll be able to start putting in complaints about various issues we find in the voter rolls. I haven't timed myself, but
Yeah, we're pretty much out of time. So if you got, just let everybody know how to reach you.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and post my contact information in the chat, and I'll you can go ahead and get me that way. I'll get that there in a few moments. Okay.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Aubrey Campbell, you're down. Aubrey's in Texas. You see her there, Raj?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Sorry about that. My computer forced an update, so my audio might not be ideal, but as long as you can hear me. So, guys, I have an executive order related to the cleaning of the voter rolls, and it's highlighting the only legal mechanism that we have in place. Sorry about that. The only legal mechanism that we have in place to actually remove outdated or suspect registrations, and it's in the National Voter Registration Act. It's actually in Section 8. So my executive order is a 4-part executive order. The first part is just activating Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act. And if you read my executive order, which is at tbtr.us and takingbacktexas.org, it should be on both of my Substacks are right there on the homepage, and they're on my Substacks. tbtr.us is the most updated work group that we've got going, but the executive order does call for the activation of Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act, which all states are already prepared to activate. They all have the forms designed and in compliance already with the NVRA. The second part of my executive order is calling for, and this may take an act of Congress, but it's calling for the creation of a national active voter database, not a national voter registration database, a national active voter database that the states could contribute to upon the activation of Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act. The third part of my executive order is calling for basically the banning of NGOs from registering people. It's a reversal of one of Biden's executive orders. It's like 14109 or something like that. It's in my executive order where Biden had authorized NGOs and a lot of affiliate organizations to register people, and it's kind of added to the chaos. So I'm in my executive order, I'm asking for Trump to recall that and say, no, NGOs and their affiliate organizations cannot register people. Only officially deputized entities from the county can do it. And I'm talking like you're going to need to be an employee or just a volunteer. It can't be like NGOs out there hosting registration drives where there's no official person from the county present where people are being registered. Okay. So we're calling to ban NGOs from voting so that we can have a more uniform method of people being registered. A little bit more checks and balances, a little bit more accountability. And I want to remind people, NGOs are not necessarily subject to FOIAs or Public Information Acts. Sometimes they are if they're in contract with the government. Sometimes they are, but oftentimes we find that they're not. So we want them banned from registering people. The fourth part of my executive order outlines the use of provisional ballots, and that we need to mandate those for everybody who's either not registered or who does not have a photo ID. The law says, related to provisional ballots, this is federal law, says that if you're either not registered, you don't appear on the poll book, or if your identity is called into question by an election official, that's a clerk or a judge who's trying to check you in. If they cannot tell who you are, you're walking in, you're saying I'm this person, but you have no photo ID. You could be bringing in your dead uncle's bill and saying I'm this person and voting for them. If you're not on that registration book and or you don't have an ID and your identity cannot be verified, you need to vote provisional. And a provisional vote is not a punishment. It's actually an opportunity, and it needs to be treated that way. Prior to the Help America Vote Act, you could just deny people their right to vote. You can no longer do that, but that doesn't mean that everybody gets a regular ballot and everybody is just accepted as a voter. That's not what that means. Provisional ballots are an opportunity for voters to still cast a ballot if there's a mistake with their registration. Like, don't put it past the county to mess up putting in your registration. Don't put it past them. That's very likely to happen. In fact, we see them putting in registrations late all the time. So if the county messes up your registration, you can still vote provisionally. We're just going to make sure that you're eligible, and then we'll count it. Okay. Same with if you don't have a photo ID, you'll vote provisional, but if you can verify your ID in some other way, with the county, then they'll count your ballot. Okay. So provisional ballots are a fail-safe that will allow people to still cast a ballot, even if they're improperly registered or unable to identify themselves, but they are eligible. But it's also a little catch to make sure that not everybody and their dog is able to just come in and cast a regular ballot. So those are the 4 parts of my executive order. This is what I believe is the only mechanism that we have to begin cleaning up registrations without being sued into oblivion, because this is already federal law. And I do believe that this will allow us to create the National Active Voter Database that will help us track active voters across state lines. Because right now, doesn't seem like anyone's really able to do that. At least not on our team. Maybe on the bad guys' side, they're able to do that. But on our side, we need to actually start maintaining that. So if you'll check out my executive order, you can read it at tbtr.us and
The
at
recording has
takingbacktexas.org. And please get that out to anybody that you guys know in the Trump administration. I believe it has been delivered to a few people in the White House, but I would like for this executive order to get as much attention and as much feedback as well. You should be able to leave comments on it. I shared out on X, I shared on Telegram. If you have any comments, you can also email me through my websites. takingtxback@gmail.com is my email, takingtxback@gmail.com. If y'all have any questions or commentary on the executive order, please let me know. And please share it out if you would. Be a great help. And thank you so much, Steve, for doing this. I really appreciate you.
Okay, thank you very much. Raj, you're up.
Excellent. So thank you very much for being on this call.
I love
As
your
you've heard-
t-shirt.
You love my T-shirt. Thank you. Thank you. It's a reclaim campaign, and for those of you who've been on these calls before, you're aware of this project. And to just refresh you and kind of give you an update of what's been happening since the last time we spoke, I'm going to play this short video here for you. Here we go.
Volunteers have worked tirelessly to register conservatives and grow Republican influence at every level. We support the party's principles, and we believe in its purpose. But today, something's gone off track. The voices of the people are being drowned out by lobbyists. Candidates are being chosen by political insiders, not the people they're supposed to represent. Shouldn't local leaders be trained and empowered to be the voice of their communities instead of puppets for special interest groups? Isn't that what President Lincoln envisioned when he structured the Republican Party around the precinct system so that everyday citizens could lead? That vision has been replaced with centralized control. And that control is enforced through smears, manipulated primaries, and PAC money used to silence dissent. That's why the Reclaim campaign is helping local groups across Florida rise up and take responsibility. We're training stronger candidates, we're helping citizens raise money earlier, and we're building coalitions to unify their voice so they can finally be heard in Tallahassee. This isn't about protest, it's about competence. It's about helping the people organize themselves to win without being bought by industry or silenced by pressure. This is how we usher in a new era in Florida, an era of prosperity, transparency, and representation that works for all of us, where citizens trust the process, where good leaders can serve without fear, and where the people, not the politicians, hold the power again. We're not tearing anything down. We're reclaiming what was always supposed to be ours. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's about real freedom. The freedom to make medical choices without coercion, the freedom to speak openly at your HOA or Republican club without fear of reprisal, the freedom to protect your children from radical school curriculums, and yes, the freedom to speak your mind without being silenced. It's about measurable reform. Reform in how campaigns are financed, in how elections are conducted, in restoring home rule, defending the Second Amendment, and properly caring for our veterans. Because all of this builds what matters most, strong families. And strong families are the foundation of a strong republic. This is how we usher in a new era in Florida, an era of prosperity, transparency, and representation that works for all of us.
So my friends, there's a lot at stake. The thing you just saw is centered on Florida, but we have people from other states coming in as well. And the thing I want to just emphasize with you is that the Reclaim campaign, which is a statewide conference taking place on July 26, 2025, just a few weeks away from now, we will attempt to accomplish 3 objectives. 1, show the organizations and groups, people that come, how to raise more money earlier for their issues and their candidates. Number 2, how to do even a better job at locating, vetting, and training candidates that not only represent what you want, but actually have the skills necessary to win in the primaries. And number three, how to increase your political power and your political footprint. We'd very much love for you to come to this event. You can get your ticket at reclaimcampaign.com. And as I said earlier that this was about Florida, over here, I'm finding ever since we launched this, that even in other states like South Carolina, Pennsylvania, there are a concerted and organized effort to stifle the voices that you and I represent. We have to do better this coming year, and we attempt to provide the tactical steps on how to do better at reclaimcampaign.com. Look forward to seeing you there in person. So thank you for that, Steve. I think now we have...
Now, before you do that,
Daniel.
let me just make a couple of announcements. Our next election security call will be on July the 14th, Monday. Also, please go out and get Dan Schultz's book on precinct strategy. This is very important. The 2026 election is coming up. Go to Stern American Rumble, which a lot of people are on today, and watch our Flag Day event. Raj and I did a Flag Day event with over 8 million people, 4.5 hours. It went to the minute. We had a lot of terrific people on. We're putting up individual people who spoke. Anybody who wants to get a flag shirt, go to www.theflagshirt.com. I'm wearing my cowboy hat, of which TikTok sold over 2,000 units in about 10 days. So now we're going to bring on a guy who I love. Voice of the People, Dan Sbriglio, has one of the greatest podcasts. Had me on a couple of weeks ago. We had a zillion people on. He always gets millions of people on the podcast for today. So come on down, Dan. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Steve, it's always an honor and a privilege, sir. So thank you for having me on. It's always great to have you as a guest. Raj, thank you as well, sir. Always appreciate the time. So yes, I'm Dan Sbriglio, the Voice of the People USA Radio and Television Network, and we are heard by millions of people around the world, completely independent. I will say I like the Reclaim campaign a lot, but I will put it out one little knowledge nugget, I will say, and perhaps things have changed, but I will say as an activist starting in Pennsylvania in 2007, targeting illegal immigration, targeting corruption, and exposing the Kids for Cash scandal. It was home rule that actually destroyed Pennsylvania. It took us down a very bad path. We had 3 county commissioners, 2 were corrupt, and the other county commissioner actually whistle blew and came and spoke at the rallies. The other 2 were charged. And the idea to fix the problem with 3 was bring in home rule, which then went from 3 county commissioners to 13, who then elected how long they could stay in office, how much money they make. And then the municipalities lost their own sovereignty to the county commission. And therein lies the problem with Northeast Pennsylvania and kind of Pennsylvania as a whole, as I've seen. So, it's home rule is problematic. The reason why I bring it up is because I've been in this game for a very long time. Fresh out of the military, came back, and I saw a problem, and I decided to speak up. And being in the world of grassroots activism, true grassroots activism, where you don't make any money and you don't sell your soul, you go out there and you fight for a reason, you stand up and you pay out of pocket while working as a cop in multiple departments and working a full-time job and everything else, and pointing out the problems about the 20 to 30 million illegal aliens in our country back in 2006. I like how the media has continuously said about 10 to 11 million illegals. It's been that number now for a good 20 years, so it's always fascinating to me. So going after that, exposing that, and then coming up against the big money in 2010 and seeing what they did to kind of gatekeep activism, if you will, it's been a continuous problem. But I learned firsthand that being a nobody, which always kind of aggravated the media, when they would attack me, and I was on Real Radio in 2007, and I did not like censorship, so I said, I'm going to go online. And I went online, and that wasn't very popular back then. But I saw a problem, and I wanted to create a solution. I wanted to build an independent media platform and do it the right way. And the right way means hardships, means struggle, and lots of money spent especially when you have no backers, no financiers, but also at the same time, the beauty of it is you have nobody telling you how you should or shouldn't do things, and to be beholden to nobody other than integrity, the one guiding principle, if you will. And that's what we've built. We've built something that has taken us almost 20 years, and it was honestly meeting my wife. I have the face for radio, in case you can't tell. But she decided that we got to modernize a little bit, and we have. And now we're heard by millions. It's a proprietary method that we created. Well, somebody smarter than me created a way for us to get our audio stream out there. And now we've been advancing on the video side. And, you know, places like X, I know X is considered the home of free speech. X is terrible. If anything, now I pay for the privilege of being shadow banned, whereas at least before I didn't have to pay for it. These enterprises that are supposed to be here to give you a voice and everything else, it's 99% trash. Always has been. A lot of these organizations out there that, you know, claim to be for the people and in the fight, it sounds good on TV. It sounds good during election cycles, but they gatekeep and they hurt those of us who are actually in the fight for the real reasons, and the people that are boots on the ground actually fighting for change, to clean the voter rolls, to target the corruption, to do everything that we need to do to take back this country and restore the republic, quite honestly. So, you know, a brief little tidbit, I decided that there was a problem where I now live in Maine, and I decided to be the first ever person to primary challenge Susan Collins. So I'm still a candidate for Senate, and all the people that like to do things online and say, we need to primary the rhinos, they don't mean it. They don't care. They want their millionaire figurehead, whatever, to come in and pretend to be something different. They don't care about regular people. They never have, they never will. They lie to people. And that's fine. We know this. I'm talking with a great group of people. And again, I'm always honored to broadcast these calls. And obviously at Trump International, getting to meet so many people in person. And a great friend of Steve's is one Mr. Chris Gleason, who we had on our show Politishock, which airs Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. The levels of corruption we exposed here in Maine is beyond reproach. It is worse than anybody will ever realize, because the saying goes, who cares about Maine? Not many people do. And having learned quickly, the biggest problem I face is the Republican Party in Maine. The other side, we know what they are. They're lobotomized walking zombies, and they're fueled by hate and corruption. That's what they do. The worst part is the uniparty establishment, always has been. I am a Republican, but I hate the Republican Party with a passion. I think that they are, and that's not everywhere, obviously, but nobody has worked against me harder than the Republican Party to silence me and to give me no reach, no anything else, regardless of how you work. So what do you get in reward of that? What do you get? You lose your job after 6.5 years. You know, they took my job away from me because they didn't like the things I was involved in. It proved to be problematic, and they said I'm at will. So that was their excuse to get rid of me. So I've sacrificed before for this, and I'm not saying that to complain. I'm saying it because I understand what people go through. We all get it. It is a hard battle when you do it the right way and you're not independently wealthy, but claim to be grassroots because it sounds good and it looks good on a poster, a t-shirt. So what we've done and what we're about to launch is actually going to not just double now, actually quadruple our reach. So right now we're in 98 countries. We're heard of anywhere from 60 to 64 million people a month. Very soon, the next few weeks, and I will play something if permitted. It's about 2 minutes, and then I'll shut up and play that, and then I'll be done. But we are going to expand to the television side of things, and we're going to be reaching 192 countries total. We formed a partnership with another great organization, somebody who's been in the game as well for over 25 years. A great guy, retired military, and it's called Connect Your Community. And with that, we're going to have 2 independent 24/7 channels. And what we have is a legitimate network, and it's going to cater to all the people out there. And it's not just politics. Yes, politics will be the most sought after channel to begin with, because it's literally what we do. But we have veteran channels, veteran resources, education, seminars. We're going to have a very robust music channel. My wife is all over that one. She's a genius. we're opening up to giving people the opportunity to go to something that is truly uniquely independent and seen by millions. And we're going to be on Roku. We're on it now, but we're not broadcasting live yet. Roku, Fire TV, Android TV, obviously the apps, Apple Plus TV, and about 300 other places. So we are putting something out there uniquely different for people who are tired of being shadow banned, who are tired of chasing algorithms, desperately wanting a influencer to retweet them or acknowledge them. Those days, honestly, for the real ones, they should be done. You know, and we need to separate ourselves and focus on the real people who actually have something to say. And
Dan,
that's why
you want to put your video on? We only got 2 minutes left.
Yep, that works. That's one way to shut me up. I love you, Steve.
Well, we got to give everybody equal time.
That's quite all right, sir. So let's see if I could make this happen here. I could do
You
it.
should have sharing enabled. Just click the share button and just make sure you
yes,
click
sir.
the
You've got
share
big
audio.
news. Yes, sir. All right. You think I'd be better at this by now, you know?
It's all good. It's all good, man. It's all good.
All right, here we go. And let's see if I could get it. And boom. Here we are. Hey, we've got big news. Voice of the People USA Radio Network is evolving from a radio network to a powerhouse radio and television network, expanding from 98 countries to 167 countries worldwide. Same website, VOPUSARadio.com. Whole new experience. Tune into dynamic live shows and original programming. Discover unrivaled independent podcasts from big names and fresh new voices you've never heard of before. We welcome you to a true alternative, a place where free speech and true independence thrives. Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, coming soon. Welcome to the Golden Age.
Watching Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, where free speech lives loud. We're everywhere you are. Roku, Amazon Fire, Android TV, Apple TV, and yes, we've got the apps. Download us on Apple or Android and watch our streams across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Pandora, and dozens more. Welcome to the Alternative, where we bring you a diverse array of content for every interest and passion. Be sure to check out our music channel along with exciting programs on education, health and wellness, and arts and entertainment. Here, there's truly something for everyone. We offer original content you won't find anywhere else.
Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network. Real stories, real voices. We are the media now.
Thank you very much, Dan. We appreciate it. You're always there for me, and that's sensational. Next
Love you,
up,
sir.
we have one of my favorite people. She started this with me 3 years ago, then got busy exposing all the fraud. So Michelle Swinick from SaveMyFreedom.us. We love you. Boy, you look how good you look. What happened?
Yeah, it's amazing. See what happens when you stop investigating the elections because you've shown everything. You take your life back and you become healthy again because you get your brain on straight. So before we talk elections, patriots, I can't express to you how important it is to let you know that you cannot fight for freedom if you are sick, tired, toxic, and broke. You just can't do it. And if you don't feel good, you can't live your life fully. Okay. And I learned that the hard way. Steve lived through it with me for the past 3 years of this. I spent 2.5 years doing nothing but investigating the elections, and it destroyed my health and finances. Okay, destroyed it. I'm going to show you some pictures right now. So I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me, and we'll get to the election stuff in a second. Don't worry. Are you going to put me on? You got
You
me on
can-
shared, Raj?
You can share. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, hang on. Can you guys see that?
Not yet. It
Because I
says you're
can't see it.
it says you're about to share, but it doesn't say you've shared.
It's showing on my end.
There we
Okay,
go. I can
look
see
at
it.
that.
Wow. Ooh,
Look at that.
look at that.
Look at that. Okay, that's what elections do to you, guys. That's what happens when you stop focusing on your health and you focus on nothing else. Okay, and you just do one thing, which I focused on the elections for 2.5 years. It literally destroyed everything. All right. So the good thing is, this is in December. This is actually October, because I wanted to make sure that the exact scene from my background and from hair and makeup and all that stuff was exactly the same. All right. So in December, I literally hit rock bottom. The pain was so intense that I had to go through that it was like somebody was jamming a screwdriver into my muscles every single day. And I could barely walk from the couch to the bathroom without looking all hunched over like an 80-year-old football player with bad knees. Okay. I'm 51 years old at the time. This is insane having to live like this. Good friend of me introduced me to these products called Live Pure. They are not only life-saving, but they are life-changing. They saved my life. All right. They're health, wellness, and skincare products. Within days of taking it, that sharp shooting pain that was there for 8 months disappeared within months. I was able to walk normal again. And now I can walk 10,000 miles a day, which I could never do before. Could never even barely get around the house. Nobody knew this, didn't broadcast it, because I didn't know what to do. And I certainly wasn't going to go to the doctor to get on medication. So look at this. This is all the symptoms that are now gone. All of those things are what I was suffering because all I did was focus on investigating the elections and didn't take care of my health. Losing weight, eliminating pain, I'm better sleeping, more energy, inflammation reduction. You saw it in the pictures. And there was not a lot of exercise because I couldn't. That's 100% supplements, plant-based nutrition flooding through my body. Better focus, menopause helper. Menopause symptoms gone. No hot flashes, ladies. No mood issues, gone. All of it's gone. Better mood, better bowels. Oh yeah, I can poop because my mom died from colon cancer. I wish we knew about these products. She might still be around. Changes lives and making money. That's what we're focusing on, all right? This is the transformation that can happen. And I get upset when I talk about it because it's so powerful. And Steve, like I said, has lived through it with me for 2.5 years, almost 3. And because of this transformation, Steve and I have decided to partner with Live Pure now. And the Save My Freedom movement is on a mission to help 100,000 people reclaim their health, build residual income, and take back their futures, starting with just simple steps and a full team to support you. Okay? This is what it's all about. Getting healthy, making more money, and changing lives. Because that's what you can control. This other stuff, you can't control it so much. This, you have control over. Make sure that you keep your health and your finances in check because it can get away from you really quick. And sometimes if it's too late, you can't get it back. So we want you to join us. We want you to go to SaveMyFreedom.us. All the resources for your election stuff's there, guys. Okay? Don't worry. It's all there. Plus, but we want you to focus on your health and we want you to focus on putting some money in your bank account for a change because we've all sacrificed for 4 years. And now it's time to think about ourselves a little bit, okay? Because you deserve that. You earned it. So if you click on, once you go to Save My Freedom, you subscribe to the Substack. If it says Get Healthy, there's more information. There's tons of information on the Rumble, but there's tabs. You could see it. And if you book a 5-minute call with me, I guarantee you it'll change your life. All right, let's talk elections. This is the part you guys are going to love. I don't know if you're going to love it. I probably will. The people that hate me will hate me more. The people that don't hate me will probably hate me. Guess what, guys? You don't have elections. You don't have real elections. You have non-existent elections. You have massive crime scenes with counties committing many federal and state felonies. And I'll be happy to take the stand today and testify to that because I have all the evidence because we've shown it through the official election records, returns, and documents for 2022 and 2024. So I can say that, and you can't put a defamation suit against me, and you can't do a community note for 3 years, 300 million views of our content. Not one, because it's true. Now, when you say that our elections are rigged or stolen, it's similar to saying a soldier on the battlefield who just got his arms and his legs blown off How's a hangnail? Words matter. Please start using the correct ones. There's your guy, Donald J. Trump. He said anybody cheats on the elections needs to go to jail. Well, it's time to put people in prison. You can start with Maricopa County for 2020, 2022, 24. Pick which one, because the crimes are still ongoing. Nothing has changed. Okay, look at this. Democrats cheat. No, they don't. Okay, Republicans commit crimes and protect the election fraud. This is Maricopa County and Arizona. The people in office, governor, down through the Maricopa County Elections Department, including the recorder, the board of supervisors, and the officials, meaning the attorney and the sheriff. Look at the red for 2020. Look at the red for 2022 and 2024. And at the same time, for not only these three sections of years, decades, the Republicans have held the House and the Senate in the state of Arizona in the majority. Where's your problem? I don't see a lot of blue. Okay? I don't see a lot of blue. And in 2020 and 2022, you had the most massive crimes committed in our elections because we've showed you. We showed you for 2.5 years. This is your problem. So take it easy on the Democrats. They just follow in instructions. There's your problem. There's your problem. All right, voting machines. Let's clear the air on the voting machines. They don't tabulate correctly. We've shown this document for 3 years. In February 25th of 2022, Dominion, the big bad voting machine company, told the world, our machines suck and they don't work correctly and they don't tabulate. Nobody cared. Why? Sounds like an awesome feature, doesn't it? What it says in this letter from the company, that if you put a provisional ballot through the tabulator, we don't know why, we don't know how to fix it, and we don't know how it happens, but it'll trick the system so that when you put the next ballot through, and we don't know how it lasts and we don't know how to stop it, that when you put the next ballot through the system, the number on the front, which is called the public counter on the voting machines, goes up. But the number on the actual tapes, those tabulator tapes that I took pictures of for the entire election of 2022 and showed everybody, those tabulator tapes, that number doesn't go up. Those are the numbers that are on the memory card. The memory cards are what they use for the election results. Okay. So the number on the front goes up. Yay, my vote counted. No, it didn't. The number on the inside does not change. That's what they use for the results. And in Maricopa County in 2022, there were 15.5% of the tabulators that the front didn't match the inside, which meant you have all these ballots that are in the bin that never got recorded. That's how we proved that Abe Hamadeh won in 2022 for Attorney General with one tabulator, one voting center, and he chose not to. He refused to bring that information into court. Someone might want to ask him. Now, if you look at this document says it's important to notice that in all circumstances, not some, not a few, not when you feel like it, in all circumstances, the public counter displayed on the LCD screen, which is on the outside of the machine that the voter can see, matches the number of ballots in the ballot box. And the only way to know that there's a discrepancy when this issue happens, when that provisional ballot, because you can't tell if it's provisional, whether or a standard ballot, when that goes through the machines, the only way you can tell that the numbers don't match is you have to look at the tapes and the number on there. You have to look at the number on the front. And if they don't match, which they didn't in 15.5% of the voting machines in 2022, you have to count the number of ballots in the bin. That is the recommendation from the people who made the machines. And guess what we don't do in Maricopa County? Because we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to compare the number on the tapes to the number on the front. Gee, I wonder why. They already know. They all know. The counties control the results. The results don't match the vote. We proved it in 2022, 2024, and 2020. Maricopa County with their own election records, returns, and documents. Okay, election audits. All right, here you go, everybody. There are 35 documents / categories of documents that are required here in Maricopa County to audit an election to see what the hell goes on. And when you get these documents, they don't match the results that are posted in the official election canvas records that are recorded as the winner and all the result tabulations, and that are certified by the Board of Supervisors, the governor, the secretary of state, the AG, and everybody else. There's 35 of these, okay? And we've gotten these, for the most part, for 2022. And in 2024, they have refused, Maricopa County, good old Maricopa County, that's page 1, and that is page 2. Maricopa County has refused to give us these documents, a good majority of them, for the 222 days. They needed all of these documents. Look at all of these documents that are required. All of these documents are required to be prepared and used in order to come up with the Canvas report, which was actually issued November 21st, 2024. So they have all these. They won't give them a majority of them. Now, if you want to know which ones they have given, which ones they haven't, you just hop on over to the Twitter. Because on Saturday, I spent 7.5 hours of my time wasting my time going through this yet again. Because I want the American people to see what goes on here, because no one's paying attention and no one is taking care of what's going on in Maricopa County. Trump said he was going to do it. I'm still waiting. Okay? Still waiting. And I'm asking, begging yet again. We haven't left up. We haven't asked. We haven't stopped asking, begging him to investigate Maricopa County because we have all the information. And for everybody that's watching and listening, the worst of the information that we have not even exposed yet for 2020, which is happening at every single election, which is horrific. It's the most horrific thing that you will ever learn, hasn't been exposed yet. If this information that we've already provided for the past 2.5 years that's already enough to go ahead and arrest people today, perp walk them, and throw them in prison, meaning the Board of Supervisors, the county recorder, the election directors, okay? Those are the ones who commit the state and federal felonies with an F. Yes, these are election crimes. If that's not enough, even though it is, the information that I have coming, which we're not probably going to do until next year because no one's paying attention. It's going to take me a couple months to put it together so you guys can really get your arms around it and you have all the evidence. It's so damaging. You can go pick them up right now. Put them in prison for a long time. Okay? That's what your elections are all about, because you don't have elections, you have an election system operation. And in order to understand, go back to the Twitter, everything home T, this is my pinned post. It's long. I put all of the documents that are required to cut and paste. What I'm asking everyone to do is go ahead, and there's a link in there. You click on the link, request these documents from Maricopa County. It doesn't matter if you don't live there. This is where all the crimes happen. This is where all the HQ is, and this is where we have all the evidence. Get copies of everything that they're going to give to you, then figure out what it is that it relates to in your county, and you can start to do your own little audits. You don't need anybody and you don't need to spend any money. It's all free. And the list is there. You cut and paste, and it also gives you an update on every single category, every single document that we've gotten, not gotten, et cetera, et cetera. So do that. Go ahead. Goes Debbie Lesko, Board of Supervisors, MAGA, bullshit. Yet another one, okay? They just implant them here, guys, and they do it in your county too. So go ahead.
1 minute,
Post
Michelle.
that,
1
tag
minute.
that. The other way you can learn about how your election system operation works is go to our lawsuit. Go ahead and read the documents you put together. I was only allowed to put a portion of the crimes that were committed in there, but you'll understand it. Read that. If you go to SaveMyFreedom.us, the tab that says election fraud, click on that. Good, it'll go down to Maricopa County, our lawsuit. Click on that. Start reading that. There's 50 different videos that we've done over the years. They're Substack posts. All right. And the last thing, one more time. Here we go. Oh, we'll get to that next time. Ask this guy. Ask POTUS. Tag him. We've been doing it since November, asking him to investigate Maricopa County. Probably 15, 20 million posts already that have been viewed. Join us. Click on it. Go to my feed. Go to Renata's feed, RL, the whatever. She's on there. You can see that. But in the meantime, don't miss the opportunity of a lifetime. The lowest hanging fruit that's rotting on the ground, everybody, is getting your health back, getting and making some more money, putting that money back in the bank account that you sacrificed for 4.5 years. Come join Steve Stern and I, Save My Freedom Movement. We're going to make everybody some more money. We're going to get you healthy. We're going to change 100,000 lives, and we're going to start with yours. And then you're going to join us to help everybody else, because you cannot fight for your freedom if you're sick, tired, toxic, and broke, everybody. That's all we're trying to do, is get you back in shape. We're also trying to get you financially secure so you don't have to sacrifice. And you can take time out to do the things in your community, because you don't have to worry about, I can't do that because I can't afford to. Those days are over. We don't have to do that anymore. We found the solutions. We found the digital platforms. We know how to do it. We have the solutions. Look at the difference just in what I have done and what I have shown. And that, I hate to say it, that's not, wait till you see the exercise portion. I haven't even added that. That's pure supplement nutrition, plant-based, 100%. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, everybody.
Rick Stenstrom, you're up. We're running out of time.
Michelle, go ahead and stop sharing screen.
Yeah,
Greg,
I did.
you're up. Okay,
Hey,
great. Thanks, Michelle.
Can you hear me? I can't see the screen anymore. I don't know. You got me?
You're sideways. You're sideways. If you could turn the camera 90 degrees.
I gotta go. I gotta go.
There
like
we go.
this.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
There you
Okay,
go.
hold on. Just trying to figure this out. Okay. Well, all right.
We can
So
see and hear you. We can see and hear you.
you can see and hear me now. Great. Well, I appreciate it. I'm doing from the car today. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We're now in a phase where election integrity is no longer a legal fight or just a legal fight. It's a fight for the survival of our republic. Everything we've warned you about has come true. Everything we've warned the republic about has come true with regard to elections. But we're at a point now where we're no longer just warning, we're actually starting to win in court. There's some recent courtroom victories to report. One of them is here in Delaware County, and it's CV 2023-006723. It's a malicious prosecution case against myself and Leah Hoops. The county and the Board of Elections and several other plaintiffs sued us for malicious prosecution and bringing forward the lawsuit. We survived summary judgment in that case, which is just happened, and the judge agreed to review the full record. We've also made notice to the court that the defendants, the plaintiffs have been caught misrepresenting facts and procedures, and that they've committed fraud and perpetrated fraud before the court. We expect a ruling on that pretty soon, maybe as soon as this week. But we fought back, and looks like we've won that case, at least as a strict matter of law. I'll remind everybody that we were also co-defendants with President Trump, 2 defamation suits in Philadelphia. We were defendants in defamation suit brought forward in Delaware County. All of those cases were just in our favor, using the truth as the complete defense. So what I want to say to some of the people here who look at litigation and what we're doing in terms of fighting in the courts, that you may not think it's effective, it is very effective. We've been building the judicial record over 5 years, and more importantly, we've been learning. We've been learning how to survive challenges to standing, jurisdiction, justiciability, and a number of things that you've seen where cases have been dismissed previously. We still have a Pennsylvania Supreme Court King's Bench 1549 MM 2025. They basically are in stasis. What we did is they tried to brush the case aside and dismiss the case, and we won't let them. The case has been appealed, and at this point, they're just sitting on it. Very similar to our other cases. We have over a dozen cases across the country and in Pennsylvania where the courts and the defendants, who are the people who are committing election fraud, are just in stasis. They're hoping that we go away. They're holding their noses and they're holding their breath, and they're trying to outweigh us. It's not going to work. I do have a big update. We have I can't speak much of it. I think I mentioned it last time. We have it's called a QUI-TAM, QUI space TAM. It's a whistleblower lawsuit, and it's registered in the District Court of DC. Can't talk too much about it, but basically a lot of the things that have been talked about here today, machines that aren't certified, machines that give fraudulent results, breaks and chains of custody, open election fraud, those cases have been all collected and integrated into this case. So for people, and I know several people on this call, if not a lot of people on this call, but at least several, have been involved in cases with me and with others. Those cases have not gone to naught. We've made judicial record of those cases. So I want to be clear, in the QUI-TAM case, which is currently we're fighting for it to be unsealed. It's a fight. They don't want to hear the case. Not only our cases, but many of you here, your cases, including Marley Hornick, I don't know if she was on today, but all of the cases that people have been working on, even if they've been quashed, your work is not gone for naught. Those cases will be made of judicial record in the federal courts. The U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Janine Pirro, they're very aware of this case. So for people who are saying, where's the action? The action is coming. They're fully aware of it. President Trump is fully aware of it, and the wheels are in motion in terms of correcting the massive election fraud, which is a matter of public record and judicial record for the past 5 years. We're going to court. We're going to court with the DOJ, U.S. Attorney General, and we're going to bring this evidence to them that's going to bring this to resolution. We hope as soon as the 2025 primary election, general election, but certainly before the 2026 primaries. In the 2025 election, I'm going to kind of skip this part, but I will say in summary, I had a write up for this, but I'm going to skip this part. This has been an ongoing trajectory. A lot of people in the public think this is the 2020 election case. It is not. It is a concerted effort by a small group of people that we've identified to take control of this country and to thwart President Trump's agenda, presidency, and the will of the American people. We know that's the case. It's continuing. They're targeting 2026, and we're going to stop. One of the things I wanted to also include in terms of litigation is that I've been in court more than a few times, and they've said, well, we don't think you guys know what you're doing. And I've been able to say for the last few cases and the last few times that's been brought up in hearings, we know exactly what we're doing. We have been integrating cases across the federal courts, the state courts, and the county courts. We don't just file willy-nilly. We file a case to challenge the election machines. We file cases to challenge hash codes. We file a case about machine certification. We filed several cases on mail-in ballots and fraud in the mail-in ballots. We filed multiple cases regarding the tabulation at the end of the election. These cases were not filed individually. They were filed with great intent to document the evidentiary record so that when we finally came to our day of reckoning, we would have a complete judicial record showing the massive fraud that was irrefutable. And I want to say one thing about irrefutable. In not a single case that we have filed have they refuted the evidence. None of our evidence of massive election fraud has been challenged. In the courts, including the federal court, state court, and your local courts, if they don't refute the charges or they don't refute the allegations, they become fact. So we now have factual, unrefuted, undisputed data of massive election fraud over the last 5 years that's finally coming forward and going to the federal courts with the U.S. Attorney and U.S. Attorney General's attention and due diligence. One thing I also want to say is we've been building a system. We've been building a cognitive intelligence system that's now not fully operational yet, but we've been helping people across the country and across the state in filing pro se. Most of the work that we've done cannot be done by attorneys. Attorneys won't take the cases because they'll be disbarred and they have to appear before the judges and the courts. And election fraud is not cases that the courts want to hear. In every single case of election fraud, licensed attorneys who attempted to bring litigation against criminal defendants that were submitted for disbarral. They can't do it. It's got to be done pro se. It's got to be done by the people here. And what we do have at this point is we have the cognitive intelligence systems that can correlate and ingest data and create credible, precise filings that are worthy of the courts and are actually been quite effective. Lastly, I wanted to say one final message, and I wrote it out. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm reading. It's because I am. We're not losing. We're outlasting them. The people, you people here on this podcast for Steve Stern, who I have the deepest gratitude and appreciation for, what you have all done matters. There is nothing that any of you have done, whether it's show up at county council meetings or your local government or your board of elections, observers, Every single thing that all of you have done has paid dividends. It's made it worthwhile. We're going to make sure massive election fraud doesn't happen again, and we're going to correct this no later than 2026. We'll expose the fraud, continue to expose the fraud. We're going to hold the line, and we're going to hold these traitors who have attempted to steal our country accountable. And we're going to rebuild a
Thanks very
country
much, Greg.
worthy of our children.
We're running a little
Thank
late.
you.
You got it.
All right.
Okay, next up,
Thanks, Steve.
Randy Barber and Kim Waitham.
Hello there. Are you there, Kim?
We'll get her on. Don't worry.
Okay.
We can see and hear you, Randy. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we just wanted to talk a little bit more about the group we're working with, the United Sovereign Americans, and the efforts that they've been making. And it really lines up a lot with what the gentleman who preceded us was just talking about, filing lawsuits and trying to get it on record and exposing the massive fraud and all of that. So United Sovereign Americans has put together a resolution, and we're presenting that resolution wherever we can all over the country. We're presenting it to county boards of elections, county legislatures, the state representatives, and also to patriot groups. So in this resolution, we bring out the fraud, we're explaining the fraud, and we want to educate people. I mean, the news is out there everywhere, but we have specifics. We've got 25 states involved with the United Sovereign Americans, and they've done some cumulative numbers and added up the numbers in 20 of the states they put together for a scorecard in all the states, and they've added them all together, and the numbers are absolutely shocking. And we don't really have time to go over all that. It's been gone over time again by many different groups, including our own. But we're trying to get some action. We're trying to get action legislatively, and we're trying to get some action through the courts, and even law enforcement is on the table. As we've gone to law enforcement again before, and we'll probably be going to law enforcement again. So this resolution, what we're looking for is to get as many people involved as we can to join this group and help us press these resolutions. We're presenting them to counties wherever we can. We like to go to the county boards, town boards. It's grassroots, trying to get the information out there, and then we try to get these people to sign this resolution in support, so that when we go to the legislatures and we go to the courts, we have the support of as many town boards, as many county boards, as many patriot groups as we can. So what we're trying to do is get other people to join our group. You can go to uniteforfreedom.com and you can sign up there as a volunteer. You can read up on everything we're doing. The resolution is there. And we're trying to get people, as many as we can, to go help us go to boards all over the country. There's 3,000 counties in the country. That's a lot of territory to cover. So we could use all the help we can get. But again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to work with legislators. We're working with legislators in numerous states. I know that I'm working with legislators here in New York State. Kimberly, I don't know what happened to her, but she's also working with legislators. So we're trying to we have a comprehensive solution to the problem figured out here at United Sovereign Americans. And we're trying to press this legislation. And by signing this resolution and getting the support of boards, by getting the support of as many people as we possibly can through patriot groups, then that helps us. I was talking to a state senator at a meeting last Thursday night, and he said the more we can get of these resolutions signed by boards, by patriots, by individuals, whoever will support us, carries a lot of weight when they go to the legislatures or if we go to the courts and try to press our agenda. And again, we don't have time to go over everything in the agenda, but basically speaking, what we're trying to do is to make election officials follow the law, which they clearly have not been doing. And if they continue to break the law, then we want to hold them accountable. And if we end up having another election that's conducted illegally, that they don't follow the law, and there's so many issues there's the machines aren't certified, so you're in trouble right off the go-get. There's just so many other things, and we've gone through it all the illegal registrations, double voting, all of these things. So if we're going to get another election handed to us that's being conducted illegally, then we're going to put in an ask that election be not certified. We're going to go to courts and ask for injunctions to stop the certification of an illegally conducted election. And we need all the signatures, all the help that we can get to press that issue. In the meantime, before we get that far, we hope that we'll be able to get this changed by working with the legislatures and the courts. And if it comes down to where we have to get involved in law enforcement, then so be it. But the more people that we have that help us with this effort, the more people that we can get to sign up on this effort, the more weight it will hold when we go to the legislatures, the courts, and the law enforcement. So that's basically what we're asking. So,
pardon me, Kim Yater, you're able to unmute. You can unmute yourself if you want to speak up. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much.
I didn't mean to interrupt the previous gentleman. I thought both of you guys are talking together.
Oh, no, wrong, Kim. No, sorry.
Okay.
Hi, Randy. I love you.
Let him finish. Sorry, Randy. Go ahead.
Well, actually, we were trying to bring Kim Wathen on. I don't know if you have her.
Oh.
We can bring her on.
Okay, Kim Wathen. All right, got it. Stand by. Sorry,
Yeah.
wrong Kim. Two
Okay.
powerful Kims on the call.
Oh, we
here
work with her
today.
too.
Okay, good. Sorry, wrong. All right, Kim Wathen, go ahead and unmute.
Thank you. I was messaging Randy like crazy.
Sorry about that. Okay.
So I want to agree with Greg on some of the things he said about our voices. It takes all of us. It takes all of our voices. It takes multiple ways of approaching this. And Randy just talked about some of the ways that we are approaching this with United Sovereign Americans. And I want to throw our website out there before we run out of time. It's unite4freedom.com. And we can use all volunteers and if donations too, if you have those, but volunteers for sure. And, I liked what Greg said about, the people are trying to tell him they don't know what they're talking about when they go in the court. And it just so happens Randy and I were in DC at the 250th parade a couple of weeks ago, and there was one person demonstrating against the Army festival there. And I asked him what was the problem. So he started talking, and I simply asked him to define standing because he was saying Trump has lost all his lawsuits, the narrative that they have out there. And he could not even define standing. So don't let these people tell you that you don't know what you're talking about and that we don't know what, about the lawsuits and what we're doing, because we do and they don't. So, and we are winning. It's slower than we all like, but we are definitely winning little bit by little bit. So I think that's all I wanted to put out there. I don't know how much time Randy used. So you can let me know if we have time left.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got to get moving here.
Okay.
Kim, come on down. Thank you, Kim.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. So I just got to say, Randy Barber, Kim Wathen, they are awesome. They worked our New York team with Take Our Border Back. We as a team reached hundreds of millions across the country. So you guys, thank you for all your hard work. You guys are amazing. It was awesome to stand on the Rainbow Bridge with you to take our border back in Canada and to take our rainbow back. So good afternoon, everybody. It is an honor to be here. Steve, thank you for creating this space for we the people to show up. Roz, thank you. And to all of you listening today, we want to say thank you for being here because you could be anywhere else. And the reason why you're here is because our country matters to you. This great republic matters to you. And it matters to me too. I had no idea in 2020 that my vote would be stolen. That was the awakening for me, a wife, a business owner, a mom of 4 children who went to vote and they said I voted. And they said the couple before me had voted. That was the moment that I said, something's wrong here. Fast forward, we launched Take Our Elections Back, working closely with Dr. Douglas G. Frank, Tina Peters, Mike Lindell's teams, Urson Russell across the great state of California. And that was the beginning of, oh my gosh, this election integrity thing is a water hose. I mean, it's a fire hose, not just a water hose, right? So it was overwhelming to take it on. And I kept saying, gosh, I am so not into politics. I am not into politics, but I'm into truth. And I would say, every single one of you that are listening today, that's you. You are a stand for truth, and you are a stand for taking this great republic back. So we went from take our elections back, continue to work in that arena, canvassing our counties, exposing the election fraud, from the dead people voting to people voting in other states. Then we moved on to take our border back. We didn't really move on. We opened the door because God said, this is the next leg of the race, the national breach of security, the Trojan horse to take this country down. God said, open the door, lead the Take Our Border Back movement across the nation. And the team assembled, and we powerfully did. Abbott closed that border as he saw 700 trucks coming down his way down the East Coast. You guys, it was absolutely incredible. But what we saw is when you put God back in his rightful place, you give what you're doing to God and you take action and you're obedient, even when it seems so big, like so big. How are we going to reach hundreds of millions of people? We're just 5 people. But when we're obedient to the work that God calls us to do, and when we're truly standing in truth, he will open the doors and he will move the mountain. Now, I have a show called the Take Your Power Back Show. God is so funny because really, isn't it all of us taking our power back? We've seen our great president, President Trump, standing in the gap for us to truly take our power back. Now, I'm under the philosophy that you bloom where you're planted. You see, I'm originally from Boston, New Bedford, Massachusetts. Not many people are from New Bedford, Massachusetts. When I get tired, I start to pack my gun and have a yard. But here's the deal. I'm here in the great state of California, and I'm in San Diego. So I love what Reclaim San Diego is doing. And I love what our teams across the entire country and the state of California are doing. And what I said was, God has given me a platform, the Take Your Power Back Show platform. This has created a space for freedom-loving patriots to speak the truth, to share how they have turned their mess into their message, their test into their testimony, and their pain into their purpose. And every single one of us can probably relate to that. That space has opened up so many doors. And being in the state of California and blooming where I am planted, I said, okay, God, what's next? What can I do right now? We have a governor race coming up. And right now, Gavin Newsom has destroyed this state. That's national news. We saw the opposition with President Trump, didn't we? We certainly did. And I want to share with you what we decided to do. In the midst of all of this, our team said, we're going to put together the Take Your Power Back California Governor Face-Off. This is the Republican candidate governor face-off. And we did. We've done round 1, round 2, round 3, 4, 5, and 6 are coming up. And these are the big dogs, the ones with serious campaigns that are running. And the questions that are being asked are not your traditional candidate questions. No, this is the questions you want to ask because you want to know. You want to know the truth because you're sick and tired of being lied upon. You're sick and tired of your elections being stolen. So we've asked the real question. And let me tell you, Dan, I see you. We've gotten kickback. We certainly have. Lucy, kickback to the point where I have sheriffs calling me. I have sheriffs downloading information about some of these candidates. We have dead family members of dead people in prisons reaching out to us. The truth is being brought out so that we, the people in the state of California, can truly vote for somebody who isn't just a placeholder until we can get a real Republican in, a real truth seeker in. No, somebody who is truly going to represent we, the people, our republic, and our Constitution. So here's what we did. We said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to create an in-person Take Your Power Back California Governor Face-Off Showdown. Come on, it's the Great West. We're in California. Let's make it fun. We're having a showdown, and I'm going to share my screen with you in just a moment and give you a picture. Now, listen, I know that today we've heard so much information, and there's always something new. But here's the deal. We have a window of time to work with. That is it. That is it. You and I are here on this earth for this time, and it's not a cliche for such a time as this. God is calling us to obedience. God is calling us to stand in the gap. God is calling us to rely upon his strength, to speak the truth and stand in truth regardless of the cost. And I'll declare now that no weapon forged against us will prevail, and we will refute every tongue that accuses us. That is the vindication that comes from the Lord. So what we're doing is we're saying, you know what? I can do something. Little old me, a mom of 4 and a grandma of 2. I can do something. And so can you. And if you're sitting there on the couch right now and you're wondering, well, I don't know what to do. This election thing is important to me. And I know the governor, the elections are coming up in 2026. Get involved. Steve Stern will tell you action, action, action. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. One step at a time. Now, here's some of the ways that you can get involved. I'm going to share my screen right now with you guys. Awesome, fantastic. And I'm actually going to share my whole screen with you. I'm going to pull this baby up. Okay, we're going to start here. This is the governor showdown. Now, these are the candidates to be announced. 99.9 of them are yes already. We also have Ryan Tillman, who is locked and loaded. We have a couple others that are coming on. If you have not listened in to these interviews as of yet with Sheriff Chad Bianco, Daniel Mercury, Leo Zaki, Brandon Jones, Louis Herms, Kobe Markham, David Serper, Leo Naranjo, that I'm going to highly recommend you listen on in. You can go to takeourcaliforniaback.com. That's one of the ways that you can access tickets. Tickets will be up soon so that you can be at this black tie event. Yes, we're going to live stream, but there's nothing like being there at that event. Now, let me give you a picture of what we've done. Oh yeah, baby, check it out. This is amazing, guys. How fun is this? This is round 3 with David Serpa, Louis Herms, Brandon Jones. Go listen into this. It is absolutely powerful. Round 2 with Mercury, Steve Hilton, Kobe Markham. I just received the San Diego Republican Award as a freedom fighter. And when I was walking up to the stage, Steve Hilton ran up and gave me a hug. And it's funny because we didn't get the best interview for him because of his Wi-Fi location. So we're going to actually, still a good interview, but we're going to pull him back on so that your questions can be answered. And last but not least, Sheriff Chad Bianco, Leo Naranjo Union, and Leo Zaki. You got to listen into these interviews. They're pretty powerful. Now, there is an excerpt that I want to share with you. I'm going to come back to one more screen share in just a moment before I finish out. But I want to share an excerpt from our last show because I really believe this is going to put it in perspective for all of us. And this is how I opened up the show. I said, tonight we're diving headfirst into the governor face-off, and we're putting California's governor, Gavin Newsom, under the spotlight. It's time to talk about the sacred oath he took. That's right. The state he swore to protect, and the chaos unfolding right now in Los Angeles, a chaos that's shaking the very foundations of the republic. Now, when Governor Newsom stood before the people of California on January 7, 2019, he placed his hand on a Bible God's word. And he swore an oath that wasn't just a formality. It was a covenant, a promise to God, to the Constitution, and to every single one of you. He vowed to well and faithfully discharge the duties of his office, to uphold the Constitution of California and the United States, and to serve the people with integrity. That oath is a sacred bond. It's rooted in faith, grounded in law, and sealed by the trust of the people. But tonight, we must ask, has Governor Newsom honored the oath? Or has he let California, a state of dreams, opportunity, and promise, fall into disarray? Then fast forward, all of our questions have been answered. Look at the riots in California. Look at this sanctuary state and super sanctuary cities throughout California. When Newsom swore to uphold the Constitution, he promised to defend the rule of law, the safety of Californians, and the sovereignty of the state. Yet rioters clashed, tear gas filled the air, and communities live in fear today. But here's the truth. We are not powerless. And this is so important. If I could share any word today, this would be the word. You, my brothers and sisters, you, my freedom-loving patriots, you're not powerless. Don't you dare let yourself be a victim to this election fraud, voter fraud, mortgage fraud, tentacles far and wide throughout the entire nation and countries everywhere. We have the ability to take our power back. The power isn't just for those of us in California, in Sacramento, nor is it in Washington. It's in you. The oath of office isn't just for governors. It's a reminder that we are the stewards of our nation, our cities, even our charter counties that we have the ability to take back. Our Constitution begins with we the people, because you are the heartbeat of America. You are the ones who hold leaders accountable, who demand justice, who rebuild when others let it fall apart. And when you take your power back, you honor the same God who inspired our founding fathers, the same Constitution that protects our freedoms, and the same spirit that makes America unbreakable. Together, we the people will take our great republic back. President Trump has been standing in the gap. Step on into the fight. If you're not fighting yet, let's go. The fight has really just begun for every single one of us. Now, I'm going to share last thing with you today. Before I close out, I'm going to put my information in the chat here. You can also find everything on takeourcaliforniaback.com. That's takeourcaliforniaback.com. You're going to find the vital information here. You'll be able to purchase your tickets soon. And if you'd like to be one of our sponsors, we would absolutely be honored to have you as a sponsor. Now, I'm going to leave you with two things. One, this event that you're seeing here, because we the people united and came together. I spoke at this event and it was powerful. This was last weekend, the Rev 17 Peace of Heaven.life. We raised over $2.5 million in a weekend. That's what happens when you unite. Everybody on this call is doing their unique things, but we are all committed in taking our great republic back and making sure the power is given back to we the people. So I'm going to encourage us to continue to unite and continue to work towards freeing Tina Peters. Support Tina Peters at freetinapeters.us. Actually, that's tinapeters.us. And last but not least, we saw Michelle share some powerful information. We have got to be ready for the fight right now. Here's the deal. We're just getting started. And what they're about to throw at us on this next leg of the race will compromise your health if you let it. But if you say, I am no longer going to shop with the big box retailers, the Procter & Gamble, the Colgate and Palmolive, the Johnson & Johnson and Unilever, that has the heavy metals that poison us and our bodies lead to disease. And if we take our power back by making the switch to an American debt-free privately held manufacturer that shares your values. Manufactures over 450 products that are better, safer, and less expensive than the stores. Then you too can bankrupt the corrupt like BlackRock and Vanguard, right? We bankrupt the corrupt, and the power is now put back in your hands. You take your health back, you take your wealth back. Go to patriotsmade.com/Kim. That's patriotsmade.com/Kim. Tap into your beef as well. No hormones, no antibiotics. Better, safer, all vertical integration. Why do I share this with you right now? Because
time is up.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you. An honor to be here with you guys today.
Dan Albert, you're up.
Our CaliforniaBack.com.
Dan, go ahead. You can unmute.
Okay, guys, Raj and Steve, thank you so much for having me on the podcast today. So, Raj, if you have that video, go ahead and play it.
Okay, stand by.
Greetings, patriots, especially those on a quest to restore election integrity. I'm Dan Albert. In my book, The Albert Plan to Save America, I present my bold, comprehensive transformational plan for we the people to restore federalism, to restore national sovereignty, to restore individual liberty, to restore limited government, and to unleash free market capitalism. This is the 2020 edition of that plan. When I had the opportunity to witness the 2020 election farce, I then published the Albert Plan to restore election integrity. And both of these books are available on freedomcells.com, which is a tool I created for like-minded patriots to organize by election jurisdiction for action. And this bookmark I used to bookmark page 105, the reprint of the cover of the book with an invitation to join freedomcells.com. I use that as a bookmark to mark page 105, which is where I set forth the 15 elements of election integrity. And you know, the first order of business is decoupling from federal elections from state and local. And we do that by carving out federal election races from the complex ballots, which we need to divorce ourselves from, and then to create a separate piece of paper for each of those three federal races, red, white, and blue. And to that, we can add our thumbprint to the back of the ballot in order to eliminate 99.99% of opportunities for fraud. So in seeking to create a mock election process to illustrate this, I came up with some fun questions, and I have one on the red ballot simulating a Senate race, and another fun question on the white ballot simulating the congressional race, and another one on the blue ballot simulating the presidential race. So I also show the back of the blue ballot with that thumbprint, and I've created these ballots for conducting these mock elections. In the general election time frame, we can actually print these mock election ballots with candidate names on them in the different races. In South Carolina, 4th Congressional District, I printed 1,500 sets of the blue for president and the white for Congress. And there are stacks of 1,500 right in front of you here. And the binder clips you see are all that we need to sort and count by 20s and 100s, 5s and 1s. So it's a very simple process. And the end result for the presidential race, you've got a stack of 100s and 20s in the background and paper clips of 5 and the singles fanned out. And you can see in this picture the results for the presidential race in a typical precinct of 1,500 voters in the 4th District of South Carolina. So I publish these videos on my mock election team channel on Rumble, and that's where I invite you to watch those videos, to learn from my mistakes, and to just learn from the experience that I've had in running these mock elections. It's a very easy process. I can help you to do that for your congressional district. I've adopted 3 congressional districts of interest to me. So back to the South Carolina 4th District, we have the congressional race. You see here, again, stacks, vertical stacks of 100s and 20s, paper clips of 5s, fan out the 1s, and there you go. The results are easily shown. And I'm also going to be launching a Substack, the albertplan.substack.com, where you can subscribe for free and get all the content that I post on Substack. So that's it, folks. A very simple process. We can have election integrity if we want it. So let's work together to restore election integrity to the 2026 midterm election, federal election. So God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Back to you, Dan.
All right, that's it. That
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. I've got some additional points I'd like to emphasize with the remaining time I have. So I talked about the complex ballots and divorcing ourselves from those ballots. So they had a meeting in Dallas where 4 systems were competing to show a hand count process of those complex ballots. So some of those are married to the complex ballot, but I'm saying let's divorce ourselves from that. And we separate into 3 separate ballots for federal elections. So an executive order could happen at the federal level to help us do that, to compel states to do that. So basically, we the people have to collectively do everything, everywhere, all at once to save our constitutional republic, because the left is doing everything, everywhere, all at once to destroy our country. So, I invite people to have page 105 discussions with me on the website, freedomcells.com. I've got both my books. You can download a 36-page PDF of my election integrity book. In that book, I've got a 15 elements of election integrity. Let's have civil discourse about those points. And the thumbprints aren't as controversial as some might think. Like we have a history of the Bureau of Vital Statistics, and then we have E-Verify. So combine those concepts together and have a federal database that's maybe blockchain enabled, where we establish our legal status, and then we'd also at the same time would clean up the illegal immigration problem, and the census would just pop out from that kind of a database. So we individually can be responsible for updating our place of residence and therefore our voting location, and take that power away from nefarious actors in the Bureau of Elections. So, we heard a lot of people talk about combining efforts on this call, and at freedomcells.com, I'm just asking people to go in and affirm that they agree with 70% or more, or are willing to try to get there through civil discourse, and then join the election jurisdiction, Freedom Cells, for their congressional district, precinct, state Senate district, state House district, and just pull on the same end of the rope. So that's the essence of the tool I've created, and that transcends all groups, because every group has a subset that would be a freedom cell if you agree with a certain percentage of this plan to save our country. And the Albert Plan is an America First plan of solutions. So, leftists have 1,000 ways to commit election fraud, and we just have to eliminate all the opportunities for election fraud that we can possibly identify. And that's the simple process that I came up with. And I'd encourage people to go to the Mock Election Team channel on Rumble and just learn how simple this process is. You can take the lead in your congressional district and just form a team, but you can start it yourself. Like I could go to a group of honest people and pull 10 volunteers from that group and conduct a mock election with this simple process. It doesn't take lots of training, and a 5th grade class could do it. So you can do that in your congressional district. I've got 3 congressional districts that I've chosen to do that personally with districts that I'm connected to. And you can step up and make a very small investment in ballots that could be used over and over and over to show this this simple election process that we can have. And that's what I would encourage you to do. Action, right, Steve? Action, action, action. So with that, I'll yield the minute or two I have left, and that's all. That's all, folks. We can do it.
Thank you. Raj, any last minute comments? That's our last speaker for today.
Yeah, so let me find my Zoom button there. Stand by for a second. There we go. Again, thank you everyone for being on this call today. Powerful, powerful stuff. I've already started reaching out to some of the speakers, as should you, please, I suggest, because there's just more to where that came from, number one. Number two, people are always asking us how to get to the replay. How do you get to the replay? I'm going to show that to you very quickly here, and it's very simple. All you have to do is go to sternamerican.com, sternamerican.com, and you can see it here on the screen here in a second, sternamerican.com. Once you get to sternamerican.com, look for the Rumble symbol. See the Rumble symbol right there? Click that. And when you click that, it'll bring you to the Stern American Rumble channel. All of the videos are here. All of the videos are here. And now Steve's team has actually taken the individual videos from the flag shirt, and has put them on as an individual. Thank you. Steve's team has taken the individual videos from Flag Day, and has put those videos here individually. So here you can see Kevin Sorbo. Here you can see Dawn and Hollis Smergilio. Sorry about that. And all these other videos. So you can take these. Why am I sharing this with you? Because we're asking you to take these videos and share the link. Share them where? Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, social media, X. Why should you share that? Because there's such good educational content there about the flag. And it's interesting to both sides of people on the political spectrum. Even the people in your life that don't want to join these calls because it's too political or they're too busy, you can use these videos to give them information about the United States flag that they probably did not know. So you gotta definitely check that out. Here, click on the live button. These are just the live streams. That have been recorded. So please take advantage of that. Also, all of this takes a huge amount of effort and time and people. And people need to pay bills so they need to be paid. And so by you coming to the flagshirt.com, you can get your own fantastic gift. 4th of July is coming right up here. If you don't have a fabulous shirt like you see us wearing on this shirt, you have to get your gift. Wherever you go, when you're wearing this flag, you're going to bring a smile to people. You're going to bring a smile to people because they're inspired and they see what you stand for. So make sure you take advantage of that. And lastly, be sure to check out reclaimcampaign.com, and that is where we have got a statewide conference taking place on July 26th. You can see it right here on the screen, reclaimcampaign.com. Get your tickets. Why would you come? If you want to learn how to raise more money earlier for your issues, for your candidate, if you want to be able to get a higher quality candidate that just won't run, but actually win, and if you want to increase the strength and political force of your group in your county, those are 3 reasons that we want you to come to reclaimcampaign.com and be with us. It's on a Saturday, just from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Fabulous full buffet lunch, beautiful facility. Hope to see you there. Steve, anything from you before we wind up?
Yeah. Can you give me the screen there?
Yeah, you have it.
All right.
You're on.
Thank yournews.com, who's got this live. You can get all the news on there. Totalnews.com. Also, if you'd like to have a speaker from your state, go to sstern1054gmail.com and hold that up a couple of minutes. Just to let you know, Flag Day was phenomenal. We had over 8 million people on it. We will post all the speakers on there in the next couple of weeks so you can actually individually see them. Our next election security call will be July 14th, then probably the 30th, and then believe it or not, I'm going on vacation in August, so probably won't have any on August. But there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I will tell you the next time on the next meeting who we're working with in the Trump campaign, in the RNC and what's really going on behind the scenes, because we hear a lot of this stuff and a lot of people don't really know what's going on. And we will give you some great information on our next election security call. So again, you have anybody that wants to come up with anything, stern1054@gmail.com. Go to www.theflagshirt.com. Tomorrow, we're still shipping for the 4th of July. Want to thank everybody for coming on. Stern American, we have a lot of information. Raj is out there all over the state of Florida. And when I speak to him, he's in Daytona, he's in Tallahassee, he's in Naples. I mean, every time he's in a different area, he's doing the work of the Lord. He's getting people involved. Precinct Strategy, Dan Schultz is doing a sensational job getting people involved all over the country. So thank you for listening to us. Again, have a good 4th of July.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Liberty, and pursuing happiness. Caring for the nation we call home and its people. As patriots, it's our duty to drive the entrepreneurial spirit, pushing hard, reaching for success, sharing patriotism, because the American way of life is for all to live. The Flag Shirt, where freedom reigns.
Weird stuff. Hold on.
Christine says she's on.
Well, it's trying to.